Well, welcome on in, guys, to In and on the Net. Today we're going to talk about trout fishing basics. We've got a lot of different things here on the table. There's a lot of different ways that you can catch trout. There's a few different primaries that we're going to cover, from a soft artificial type baits to live baits like a Nightcrawler, all the way to lures, and go through different techniques for catching trout. A very, very effective way to catch trout, guys, is with your simple power bait rig. So this is an artificial dough bait that you can form into balls or even like maggot or worm shapes from the main line of the fishing rod, coming down to a weight. In this case, we've got a 1/2 ounce slide weight, so it's able to slip on the line there. And then we're coming down to our swivel, which is just allowing both sides to rotate and not twist in the line. Coming down to a leader, which this is a 6-pound monofilament leader. Eventually comes to a size 16 treble hook. And then we're just going to form a ball with the power bait around that tiny little treble hook. We're going to set the hook in there, form the power bait around it, and start rolling with our fingers until we've got a ball, or whatever other shape you wanted to try and do. And then we're just going to cast that out and pull up the tension of the rod and wait for the fish to bite. So this rod right here, it's a 7-foot Okuma Avenger. It's a medium action. You could use a light action, you could use a lot of other rods. I like the medium action because it's going to have enough stiffness that I can get this as a good cast. Likely I'm fishing, trout just jumped right there. Likely I am fishing from the bank and I want to get it out there a little ways, but then I don't want it too stiff to where in the tip, when a fish is biting it, I'm not able to see those really subtle, simple bites. You could use a lot of different kinds of rods, guys. I've got this rod right here. This is a Kunin Blackwater. And this is like a $15 complete that you can pick up at Weimar. And this thing would most certainly catch plenty of trout. It came loaded with monofilament line, and this rod already has caught trout. So you don't have to have an extravagant rod, but you do want to try to think about, as you advance, a lighter rod to feel every little light tug and things like that, a stiffer rod to make longer casts. All those things are going to matter.
I believe that this fishing rod at the store was like $89 at Walmart for the combo. So it's like an $89 rod to a $15 rod. There is a significant difference.
Yeah.
That's like the price difference between like a nice rod and then a cheap rod.
Another really good technique, guys, that you can use to catch trout is to use night crawlers. So live bait. We've got some nice lively crawlers inside here, and trout definitely like crawlers. You can also use all kinds of things, from mealworms, redworms, crickets. If you want to fish it on the bottom from the power bait setup, got our weight down to our swivel, yet again coming out to our leader. But down on the end of our leader, instead of a size 16 treble hook, we're going to tie on a smaller, simple, round shank bait hook. Now, once we got the bait hook on there, then we're going to take our lively Nightcrawler and we're going to slide him onto the hook. And then we can take this Nightcrawler and we can fill it full of air and just simply interject the worm and fill it full of air. And just like the power bait at this point now, we're going to let this sit out on the bottom, work out the tension, and wait for the trout to come along and pick up the worm and show us the bite on the rod. Another thing that you could do to maximize your success more bait is just simply like the Fireball eggs. These are just salmon eggs, individual single salmon eggs, and you could take one of these, 2 of these, and you could topper the hook and throw that out there just to add some scent, add some different little things. You could put a marshmallow on here to try and help the worm float up. Even power bait, there's lots of different toppers that you could use that trout will definitely feed on those combos. With the Nightcrawler, one other way that we could fish it is we could just simply add a bobber to the system by clipping it up on the very top above the weight, and then this would allow us to be able to fish this Nightcrawler from the surface perspective instead of the bottom. Now we'll also want to change our Nightcrawler out, and we'll want to grab a new one that is not full of air so that the worm is not trying to compete with the bobber floating on the surface. We want it to suspend down underneath of the bobber. And another super effective way to get out and catch trout is with any kind of lure or spinner. You know, these are meant to be casted out and retrieved. It's going to spin in the water column, and it's going to definitely attract trout. There's a lot of times where the trout are not sitting and they're more on the move, and the movement action is actually a more effective way to catch the trout because they are just in a mood to chase something. There's a lot of different patterns and different things that you can get in spinners, different types of brands from Rooster Tails, Panther Martins. You could use spoons, all kinds of jigs. You just want to make sure that you tie on a swivel and then clip the lure onto the swivel, because the lure is going to line twist. This one doesn't have a swivel, and you can see the line twist going in the line there. So you want to tie on a swivel to it, throw on the lure, and then just simply cast it as far as you can and retrieve. You can do different variables as far as casting it out there and maybe waiting 2 or 3 seconds so the lure drops deeper in the water column before you begin to retrieve it, but it is a pretty simple cast and retrieve method. Well, again, guys, there's a lot of different ways to catch trout. They're interested in all kinds of different baits, spinners, and different techniques, you know, so I hope that you found this video informative. Maybe you learned something new. Definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with your friends, and until next time, guys, we will see you.